The events that became known as Cresap's War were rooted in the Maryland-Pennsylvania border disputes. Remember, as we talked about, Thomas Penn and Charles Calvert, the 5th Lord Baltimore, had met and come to an agreement, but afterwards, Charles Calvert felt like he had been deceived and refused to abide by that agreement. This then led to a series of legal battles that were playing out back in England. But while that was playing out back in England, here in the disputed area between Maryland and Pennsylvania, what Maryland claims is Maryland and Pennsylvania claims is Pennsylvania, there had been, as we talked about, lots of German immigrants who had settled in this region, some with claims to the land from the colony of Pennsylvania, and others with claims to the land which originated from the colony of Maryland. And sometimes these people were almost next to each other. Obviously, this was a mess. Just to make sure that you remember the sort of geography of the dispute, remember that Pennsylvania's aggressive claim comes all the way down to this red line, which, if ultimately accepted as the border, would make Maryland in the west separated from Maryland in the east. Maryland's aggressive claim, going back to their original charter, is the northern red line that you see here, south of present-day Lancaster, Pennsylvania, but north of present-day and, at that time, Philadelphia. Okay, so Charles Calvert, LB5, granted 500 acres of land in the northern part of this disputed area to a settler named Thomas Cresap. The land that Cresap was granted is up here, if you see my cursor moving, on the Susquehanna River, right near the most aggressive part of the Maryland claim. And Cresap operated a ferry going back and forth across the Susquehanna River. This land grant to Cresap, as it says over here in the historical marker, was made in 1730, but it was after 1732, once the dispute had broken out about the Articles of Agreement, that Cresap began raiding and driving out those who had claims to the land originating from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvanians called him the Maryland Monster, which honestly is a pretty good nickname. These raids, sometimes carried out in the opposite direction from Pennsylvanians attacking Maryland settlers, went back and forth. The Pennsylvanians tried to arrest Cresap multiple times, and ultimately, in 1736, that's near the end of the time period you see there, in 1736, a sheriff came with like 25 armed men, what for the time is like a small colonial army, and they besieged Cresap's house. His wife was armed as well, and they fought side by side and held the men off for like 14 hours before finally the siege relented and Cresap, the Maryland Monster, was finally taken prisoner by the Pennsylvania authorities. They marched him to the city of Philadelphia, where he would be jailed, and Cresap, as they marched him into Philadelphia in chains, looked at the city and said, "This is one of the most beautiful cities in Maryland." All of this made its way to the king. We talked about how, the move from the colonial political perspective is to avoid the kind of drama that comes to the king's attention. Because you don't know what's going to happen. But King George II now was paying attention, and in 1737, he forbade both colonies from issuing any more land grants out in the western disputed areas. Knock it off, kids. That's the way I think of that. Cresap was released in 1738, part of a broader truce between the Penn and Calvert families, even though still no deal had been agreed to about what exactly this border, this northern border of Maryland, southern border of Pennsylvania, would be. Throughout the drama, Pennsylvania blamed Charles Calvert, the fifth Lord Baltimore, and the colonial authorities in Maryland. And this, I often think, is the kind of thing that would have been a different kind of drama if the fifth Lord Baltimore was Catholic. You know what I mean? Because it would have been turned into the same kind of thing that all those early political battles were, which were about papists trying to attack Anglicans. Cresap moved out of the disputed area and headed out west, where he helped establish part of the westernmost settlements in Maryland, became a critical part of the western fur trade with native people. We'll come back to him later on. As Cresap moved west, his movement to the west was part of a broader Maryland effort to try to secure the western part of Maryland's claim. Up into the early 1700s, the western part of Maryland, like what is now Montgomery County and then stretching out to Frederick County, people back east talked about it as a howling wilderness where there were almost no permanent living Europeans. But that was now rapidly changing here in the, 1720s, 30s, 40s. And Cresap, moving out to the west, established a house that became the, like I said, one of the westernmost settlements. And built up around that is the modern day Maryland city of Old Town. Um, this Maryland's increasing interest in the West was tied to Virginia's increasing interest in the West. Virginia, remember, still had a land claim that stretched as far west as the land may go, and with different lines that were in dispute, and at this point, still unsure where the Potomac River really begins. Charles Calvert, the fifth Lord Baltimore, thought it was essential to really get people moving out west. These are some of the earliest proprietary grants out west. And you'll notice that the earliest of them start like 1723, 1724. And you remember, because you remember everything, that Charles Calvert turned 21 and became the proprietary Lord Baltimore in like 1721. And so it's right after that that he starts granting land to folks out west. One of the earliest was out here, Tasker's Chance, granted to Benjamin Tasker, who was part of Charles Carroll's family. It's a lot of characters, I know. But you remember Charles Carroll, the settler, right? Um, Tasker was connected to that family. And that settlement out in the West with at that point not much around it, he called Tasker's Chance. Now, sliding into this story is Daniel Delaney, who, to refresh your memory, had emerged as a real critic of Lord Baltimore's power, but then Lord Baltimore came to Maryland, met with Delaney, and, with no direct evidence, appeared to buy Delaney off by offering him a position collecting quit rent out west and granting Delaney lands of his own out west. Delaney explored the Monocacy River region. I'm amazed how little we know about rivers today and how central they were to the way people used to live. Um, the Monocacy flows down and ultimately meets with the Potomac. And this whole region is creeks that flow down into the Monocacy. So this whole region is sort of supported by the Monocacy River, the way you would think about it back in the 1700s as a farming person. And so this whole set of land out here is what Delaney starts trying to obtain and develop. You see, Delaney got a lot here in 1724, and then these other grants were given around him. And as Delaney accumulated his own wealth, he started buying out the people around him. He bought Tasker's Chance from Benjamin Tasker. He bought, I can't keep track of them all, but many of the lots you see around here. He accumulated close to 50,000 acres out west. And he didn't just own it, he worked hard to develop it. He recruited Germans from Pennsylvania and with hired recruiters from back in Europe with the promise of being able to acquire cheap farmland here in the Monocacy Valley. He offered small farms, lots of them to these German immigrants, farms of like 100 to 300 acres. Again, that's very big by suburban, housing lot standards, but he offered them so cheap that he was actually taking a loss. For the settlers, it was an amazing deal. So people came pouring in. Now, why? What sort of business model is it that you sell your land at a loss? It's the kind where you've got a bigger economic plan. In 1745, he established Fredericktown. The Frederick for whom it is named is not entirely clear. It may have been the Fifth Lord Baltimore's son, or it may have been Frederick, I forget his title, but Frederick, who was the son of King George II and might be in line for the throne, so not clear. Nevertheless, Delaney establishes Fredericktown with this intricate grid of urban lots already mapped out. Remember, most cities did not develop as a plan. They developed because people started to move in and ad hoc, they started to grow. But here, Delaney mapped out this whole town and rented almost all the lots in the town rather than selling them. So he was creating the market through which all those farmers that he had sold to at a loss would come to, would buy their farming supplies and their hardware. And the lots there are still owned by Delaney, the rent flowing into him. Economically, it was genius. He's like, I don't know, this is not quite right, but like a mini Lord Baltimore in Western Maryland. Fredericktown and the areas around it became the fastest growing area in Maryland. There were German churches established out there pretty quickly. German Lutheran churches and German Reformed churches. It felt pretty German. If you're wondering why Germantown is Germantown, because Germans. The population grew so quickly that Frederick County was established in 1748. Frederick County, going from Prince George's counties now defined northwestern border, and Frederick County now stretching all the way out to the western edge, wherever that may be once we pin it down. Frederick County, like Fredericktown, there are different theories about who it's named for, you know, uh, going back to the naming of Fredericktown. So I don't know. Um, by 1750, Fredericktown, as it was still called, was the largest population in Maryland, bigger now than Annapolis. With rapidly improving, still bad, but rapidly improving, wagon roads that connected Frederick to Annapolis and to Baltimore, which we'll talk more about soon. While Fredericktown was eclipsing Annapolis as an economic hub and as a population center, Annapolis remained the hub of Maryland's political action. So we'll come back to the reestablishment of the Maryland Gazette in Annapolis.